Ford cylinder head designs are definitely much different than Chevy, Chrysler, and Dodge cylinder head designs. So let's talk about all the different V8 engines that each company made and what specifically innovations made them different for over the past 100 years. Now, basically, all three companies came out with their own pushrod engines in the late 1940s, 1950s. This is what most of the companies were doing. They were coming out of straight eight inline sixes, side valve engines, and everybody switched to pushrod almost simultaneously after World War II. Now, the cylinder head design and other specific small things that they changed are where the three companies really differ. So Chevy really stuck with pushrod engines pretty much until we are sitting here today. V6, V8, they basically had small block pushrod engines for all their different brands across the board, V6, V8, and even the Pontiac came out with their own four-cylinder pushrod engines, whereas Chrysler and Ford really adopted what's called single overhead cam technology or overhead cam technology. Now, some people believe that during World War I and World War II, the success of all the fighter planes that decided to go with single overhead cam is what influenced some of the car manufacturers to switch to single overhead cam for cars. So on a global level, you have Fiat. Fiat had the 128, which was ultra successful, was pretty much one of the best European selling cars at the time. And then Honda came to the United States with the Honda Civic, both single overhead cam, both four-cylinder engines. So Ford came out with the single overhead cam for their Pinto engine, which was just called the Pinto 2.3. And then the Thunderbird, when the fuel economy regulations came out, they had the 2.3 Lima Turbo as well. So then Chrysler, they developed a partnership with Mitsubishi actually to build a fuel-efficient four-cylinder and six-cylinder single overhead cam engines, and that plant was actually in Normal, Illinois. Then Chrysler developed their own pushrod V6 engine and only 2 years later switched that engine to single overhead cam. Most of the famous V6 Chrysler products, Eagle Vision, the Plymouth models, all use some variation of the 3.5 single overhead cam engine. Ford as well, the Crown Victoria, every cab in New York City used a 4.6 single overhead cam. So Chevy really decided to keep it old school, keep the manufacturing costs low. You save about $400 per vehicle by building a car with a cam in block technology versus a cam over. So I think that's why Chevy stuck with the pushrod engines. But really, Chrysler and Ford decided with their six-cylinder engines to go single overhead cam, and then Chrysler kept the Hemi for the V8 and Chevy kept the pushrod engine